Oh, I've got a dilemma here. I mean, we're talking about Australian food, and sometimes there's a big question mark over my head. But meatloaf, what the heck is meatloaf? Anyway, I'm gonna put a little Manu twist on it and serve it with Diane Sauce. So let's get on with this meatloaf recipe. Okay, so the main ingredient of meatloaf is obviously meat, but we've got beef mince, and I've seen quite a few recipes and there's not much else usually, and I'm just gonna jazz it up a little bit. So I've got a beautiful mince here which I'm gonna put in a bowl, and I've got a few ingredients. I've got some leftover rice, brown rice, and instead of throwing in a bin, it was in my fridge, I think I'm gonna put it in, which I think it's gonna be great because it's gonna keep the meatloaf airy and spongy versus being tough and rubbery. Into this, I'm gonna put some mustard, French, Dijon of course. Just bring a little bit of spice. I've seen a recipe with tomato sauce and ketchup and barbecue sauce and so Vegemite even, but I'm gonna put a little bit of tomato paste. Tomato paste, just a little bit of concentrated tomato flavor here. I'm gonna add a few egg yolks. I don't need the egg whites, so I'm gonna put them aside here. And I'm gonna go straight in there. Make it nice and rich. Garlic and eschalot next. So as we know, smash the garlic, get those garlic juices out, because that's where you get the good flavor of the garlic. And be patient with me right here. And I know it takes a long time to chop garlic sometimes, but please be patient, because if the garlic pieces are too big, then they don't mix into the meatloaf properly. Okay, so see, this is what I'm talking about. Elevating the meatloaf flavor. Just put a lot of flavors into this. Chopped shallots, very thinly sliced chopped shallots. Shallots is like, of course, a scallion family. It's got a beautiful onion flavor, but it's a little sweeter and not as harsh. So I'm going to chop them very finely and add it to the meatloaf recipe. I know there's a little bit of skills there, but if you can't be bothered and you've got a little food processor, just put it in a food processor. In. All right. Now I've got kale, and kale has become a very cool vegetable in the last few years. Very healthy, green apparently. So I decided to put some into my meatloaf, but also, before we go further, I'm gonna make a little Colcannon. So I've got some beautiful potatoes here, which are called Desiree potatoes. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them on a bed of rock salt, but I'm gonna prick them with a fork and then place this in the oven and basically cook them in the skin, which is a different way of making mashed potatoes. You can peel them and cut them and put them in salty water, bring it to boil, or you can cook them in the skin en robe des champs, which is called in French. And oh, this one's alive. I've learned that from a friend of mine called Colin Fastage. You may have heard of him before. But Colcannon is one of his signature recipe, and I thought I'll steal it from him because I thought it would go so well with a little meatloaf. So that's gonna go in the oven at 190 until the skin is kind of leathery and the inside is really nice and soft, and we'll get on with that. I'm gonna put some kale in the meatloaf, chopped finely, and I'm gonna keep some kale to put in the Colcannon. And the reason why I'm putting kale in both kind of part of the recipe is because when you buy a piece of, a bunch of kale, it's pretty big and you just don't want to have leftovers. So you can use the whole thing in one go. All right, that goes in. into the mix. I bet you've never seen a meatloaf mix with so much color. Now I'm gonna season it with salt and pepper and get on with the rest. Oops, sorry, I forgot to bring a little bit more flavor in the meatloaf. Oregano. Or oregano or oregano? Oregano. Now there's so much love put into this mince. Now I'm excited about creating and eating a meatloaf. Now, of course, it's not a meatloaf without the loaf, which means you need a terrine of some kind. I've laid it up with a bit of greaseproof paper, and usually you would put this meat right in here. But I want to bring a little bit more meat in the meatloaf. I've got some beautiful prosciutto, which I'm gonna lay my terrine with. So you put one in like this, and the other one in like that, and this one like this. You get the gist. Voila. Now your terrine is laid up with beautiful prosciutto. Just push the mix into the terrine, making sure it's nice and pressed so you don't have any holes anywhere. And now all you have to do is tuck it in bed, like this. Look at that, that looks so good already. I'm so excited for the first time of eating a meatloaf. All right, let's put it in the oven, shall we? In the oven at 190 for 45 minutes. Now, Colcannon, yes, it's definitely not French. It's a very Irish dish, and it's a beautiful dish. My friend Colin Fassnage cooked it for me so many times, and I love it. Anyway, I stole the recipe from him, if that's okay, Colin. There's two ways of cooking potatoes. Oh, there's many ways of cooking potatoes, but there's two ways you can mash potatoes. So there's the way that everybody knows about, which is you peel your potatoes, then you put them in salted water from cold water, and you bring them to boil, and then you pass it to the sieve, and then you mash them. Or you cook them in the skin on a little bed of salt. Now, what I've done is I pierced the skin of the potatoes, put them on a bed of salt to extract the moisture away from the potatoes, because what I want is dry potato flesh, which is going to go into the pot with cream, with butter, and with kale and spring onion, and that's what you call a colcannon. Just cut the potato in half, and look at this. You've got beautiful flesh. See that? Steaming up. And that's hot, so I couldn't use a cloth. But then you use a little spoon and scoop the flesh out of the skin. And because the skin has become leathery cooking in the oven, that, by the way, don't throw it in a bin. If you got a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of it, delicious. So here you go, you've got your mashed potato here. To this, I'm gonna add some cream, some butter. Now we're gonna put the kale. And then just gonna mix it all up together. To finish, a little bit of spring onion, just to give it a little bit of je ne sais quoi, as they say in French, and spring onions. All right, now give it a good mix. Not in a recipe, my friend Colin, as I keep mentioning, just add a little glog of olive oil for some reason. All right, a little bit of pepper, salt, and here we go, a beautiful, gorgeous, full of grains, a delicious Colcannon. The meatloaf has only got a couple of minutes left in the oven. The Colcannon is ready. Now it's time to heat up the Diane sauce. Hi honey, I'm home. The meatloaf is ready. Oh yes, it is. And that is not meatloaf that you've seen before. I'm very excited. Oh! Now, there's meatloaf and there's Manu's meatloaf. Yum. Well, I've never had a real meatloaf before, whatever you call a real meatloaf. I'm gonna try this. That's a meatloaf. Yum. I've been criticizing meatloaf for years, but now I've played with the recipe. I can see that meatloaf can be absolutely delicious, especially if you add a little bit of Diane sauce by Manu. I'm gonna go 2 slices because I think it's good enough to have 2 of those. A nice little dollop of Colcannon, like this. All right, and last but not least, some Diane sauce. What I thought was a challenging recipe has now become a beautiful dish. We've got meatloaf with Colcannon and Diane sauce. Bon appetit.